Alrighty, welcome to the 2023 year of the Lord. Super kicking it with Steven and Greg is right here for your viewing pleasure. We're back and in action finally. There's lots and lots and lots and lots to talk about. But we're back. We're going to go live here 11 a.m. every Sunday until we tell you otherwise. And then hopefully we'll go live for the Royal Rumble here soon, which is in 2 weeks, I believe, the 28th. So we'll go live to give our predictions for that. One of the more unpredictable Royal Rumbles I can remember in a little bit, Greg. Just kind of thinking about where we're going to go with that. And what else? So the state of basketball will be on before us. So that's fun. We can kind of give you guys, lead into that, or they lead into us, and we can bounce back and forth with them someday, maybe. And just keep following BW Sports 1 for all your viewing pleasure. But we're back. I'm Stephen A, 1181. Hopefully, our friend Big Ben can wake up a little bit earlier there in Vegas to catch us soon. But Greg is here. Congratulations on the loss. And thank you for taking away my Colts comeback loss. So there you go. Now you guys are on the schneid, but 27-point lead, which is the third biggest comeback. So at least you're not the biggest comeback. Or the Jaguars. Sorry, the Jags are rolling though. I mean, ever since they took that picture with the AW wrestlers, Greg, they've won. So I guess that's their. And there was actually, I think Jericho was there, Darby Allin was there, Britt Baker was there. So there you go. They had the mojo working. So your Chargers ate a big loss, and I feel a little bad because, man, you were rolling in our chat, Greg. And in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, God, I hope they don't come back. Because you're going to eat some shoes and words, right? But Brandon Staley on the way out, possibly. Does he survive this?
Yeah, so first I thought this would be a perfect day to rock out the Broken Matt Party
look at that. Yeah, that's a nice shirt.
T-shirt because we need to delete last night's game.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was feeling myself in the chat last night, with us and the rest of the BW Sports crew, and being a lifetime Charger fan, I know the deal. They can never give us an easy game, but when you go up 27-0 in the first half, you feel comfortable. And I knew better, but it's 27 points. I mean, if it was 20, I would be like, okay, wait. But they kept scoring touchdowns. They were scoring in every possession.
And turnovers. 3 INTs in the first half, right? By
4
total.
4 or 3 interceptions by one guy.
Yeah.
And then they got a fourth one to go with it. And their defense was perfect. They were locking down all the receivers. Everything was on point. They gave up that touchdown at the end of the first half, and it is what it is. But 27-7 at halftime. Oh yeah, figured we got this with our squad. Yeah. So, and then that happened. The second half happened, and Brandon Staley can go to Thailand. He can go to Hong Kong. I don't care where he goes as long as he does not go back to the LA Chargers training facility. As long as he does not pick up a headset for next season, I want him out of here. I don't care what draft pick you have to send to New Orleans. Bring us Sean Payton and let's get Justin Herbert some Super Bowl championships because this is unacceptable.
Harbaugh?
I mean, seriously.
Harbaugh in there, maybe?
If you can't hold a 27-point lead in the playoffs, you can't fire your men up enough to bring this win home with a 4-score lead, then you don't need to be here. So, yeah, if Brandon Staley isn't gone by Monday afternoon, there's going to be a big rant piece for BW Sports coming up real soon. So,
and on the other side, I mean, a lot of credit to the Jags. I mean, hanging in there, right? Trevor Lawrence. All it took was getting rid of Urban Meyer, and they turned it around. win the division, and now they're rolling. Was that in Jacksonville? I'm guessing then because the AEW
Yeah.
were there. Okay.
Yep, it was.
And they had a worse
Yep.
record, right? Because were they 10-8?
Yeah. Chargers were 10-7, and Jacksonville was one game behind. So
Okay.
9-8.
Okay.
But yeah, there was no way they should have come back and won that game. Just the wheels fell off. Not like Justin Herbert started throwing interceptions. He didn't. But the play calling got real stale and real vanilla, and they didn't do anything they did in the first half. And
Did
then
they
they
play to
started
hold the
getting.
lead, or did they? It just sounds like they weren't that. It sounds like they weren't on the gas the whole game. Is that maybe what happened?
They weren't. They started coasting. I think they
Yeah.
saw that fat lead, and they got the ball first in the second half, so they
Oh,
should
the
have put more
Chargers got
points
the
on the board.
ball first too,
Right.
or got the okay.
And so, and I understand playing, clock management and just winding down every possession, taking big chunks off the clock, but you still need to keep the ball in the air, keep
You
those
got to
first
keep
downs
going,
coming,
especially in playoffs.
and they weren't doing it. They all of a sudden 3-and-outs. So you got to switch something up. You got to adjust your game plan, and they didn't do it. So I put that straight on Staley and the coordinators for not being able to adjust. I don't want to see any of them on the field next year because you're not going to have any people in the stands to support you if we know this is what we're going to get at the biggest moment. So it's just
Sometimes
brutal outcome.
they struggle to get fans there sometimes anyway, even when they're good, right? I mean, it's a tough ticket for some reason. I guess with the Rams kind of taking control, but even the Rams had an off year. So the
Right.
Jags move on. Who else? The 49ers moved on, right? In
Yep.
the other game. And then we have
Yep.
we got the who's today? The Bills,
Dolphins,
Dolphins
Bengals, Ravens.
in Buffalo, right?
Yep.
And you got to imagine Hamlin will be on the sidelines.
Oh, he'll be somewhere in the building. I don't know if
Yeah.
he'll be in the sidelines, but he'll at least be in the owner's box.
He's there. I mean, So you know that the Bills are going to be charged up, and then we got Buccaneers and Cowboys on
Tomorrow.
Monday night. Yeah. So you got to imagine the Cowboys choke away against the Bucks. It's probably not going to look good for McCarthy right there. That's what it sounds like. So you might have a few coaches try to get a one-way ticket out of town, sooner rather than later. But yeah. So all right. Well, we got that out of the way. My Colts, so we don't have to worry about that. But Greg, look at this picture right here. What do we want to talk about? Vince McMahon is back. He's back, all right. I wish I had the Eric Bischoff song to play, but he is whatever position, director. Triple H held a talent meeting, once again reiterating that he's still head of content. He's still head of creative. Fingers crossed, Greg. I mean, we knew Vince McMahon wasn't, just sipping on Mai Tais, hanging out in wherever he lives, Greg. I mean, I guess we all saw it was going to come back. Stephanie McMahon's out the door, which she wanted out the door anyway. I mean, didn't she retire last year at some point, I believe? So
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me at all that, And then she had big ankle surgery by the good old Dr. James Andrews. So she's probably content to never come back again, telling her dad, do not mess this up again. There's also a lawsuit by some of the shareholders, Greg, against Vince McMahon saying, did he do this legally, illegally, all that. It's, from all intents and purposes, it sounds like Vince is there to direct the sale of WWE, which we'll get into in just a minute, because there's definitely some interesting overtures there. But Vince is back. He's not quite chairman, but I think he's just back in some capacity. And, he still had a majority of the shares anyway of WWE. So, it's not like he wanted, it's not like he wasn't going to go away at all, Greg. So, what do we got? Initial thoughts. Do you think he slowly seeps into creative?
That's what I'm worried about. I get it. He's still, the man with the mass of the shares. And, that was never going to go away until he decides to sell. but he had divested himself of the product and gone to his mansion, wherever it is, and it's been nice and beautiful with Triple H and Stephanie in charge.
Mhm.
And now this happens, and as long as he's in the boardroom, it's his company. If he wants to sell it, fine, sell it. But that's it. We don't want you on creative. We don't want you making any decisions as far as the programming goes. If you want to choose which network it's going to be on, fine. If you want to, steal or sale, make sure you can get the most money you can. He has a reputation as a fierce negotiator and businessman. Fine, stay there. So all that, fine. But I think everybody is worried about him coming back and taking over the reins at creative and doing things the Vince way. So we're all kind of waiting for that shoe to drop. And after seeing what's happened since Vince left, it's like a poker game. If he comes back in and takes over the creative and the TV, I'm out. I'm cashing out. I'm not
If I'm
watching.
Triple H, would I even want to be around still?
Yeah, well, he sees what already happened with NXT when Vince kicked him out and said, "I'm going to recreate NXT." So we can have the same thing all over again. So ain't nobody got time for that. So
I mean,
Vince comes back in, takes over creative. We're gone.
I think I mean, obviously, and it is, like I said, Triple H led this all talent meeting, which scared me for a second. You don't want to hear all talent impromptu meetings. You want to hear, that's any job, anytime, Greg, any job you have. If you hear, oh yeah, by the way, there's a meeting later on today, it never sounds good. It's never to pat you guys on the back, which kind of sucks, but that's just the way the game is played. But uh, fully intended with that pun. Yeah, I'm hoping, like you said, just sticks to the boardroom, works on the sale, and then rides off into the sunset. Goes in the Hall of Fame, all that fun stuff if he does. But that's the thing too, Greg. Do we think he shows up on TV just to get the cheap pop? And I wonder and is there enough time passed that the reaction would be favorable to him?
Uh, I think if he comes out, that people will still pop for him because it's Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
But I think they don't want to do that because as soon as he shows up on TV, they're going to think he's back in charge
that's true.
and calling a shot. So unless he gets on the stick and goes, I miss you guys, and don't worry, Hunter's
Yeah,
still
this is my
heading the
goodbye.
program, right? Something like that to let us know that he's not uh, taking over again. Then just stay off TV and let Hunter do his thing. But I think that this is what we're all worried about. So it's better he just stays in the background, off camera, and let us feel comfortable about the way the show is going.
Yeah. And then we talk about the sale idea. So this is from Rafael Esperanza, who's our local bookie. Odds at MyBookie.com, or sorry, odds at MyBookie, and then more entertainment props over at You Can Bet That. Some weird, interesting prop bets that Rafael always has. If with all the award seasons coming up, you got to check those out. There's also, I think, there's been the. I thought there was, he does the election stuff. I mean, anything you can bet. I think Rafael's got you covered, Greg. But we got some interesting name here. The biggest name I keep thinking about is that Saudi Arabian group, Greg. Where, man, if they get a hold of it, I would be scared out of my wits on what that would mean. Just because there's a lot of political overtures there that Saudi Arabian group has. Saudi Arabia is not a great political system, Greg,
So
and just some of I still go back to the journalist that was killed over there because of them. There's been legit beheadings, which is something you only think about in like fairy tales and medieval times. But
right,
um, So that was the name that was thrown out there on Thursday, or was that Wednesday, whatever night it was. There was a night when all the smoke was there, and then of course the next day, and other legit journalists of wrestling were like talking to talent and saying some of the talent was saying they were going to walk out if that would happen. And, especially like a guy like Sami Zayn, Greg, who doesn't even
Hmm.
wrestle in Saudi Arabia. What would he do in the prime of his career? And then so hopefully that was just some weird rumor, smoke thrown out there. But Comcast is the odds on, or is the favorite according to Raphael, our guy over there. Comcast, I believe, owns NBC and all the Universal stuff, so like USA and all that fun stuff. So that makes sense because of where you know um, WWE is on TV. NXT and uh, Raw is on Universal, and the Peacock Network has WWE's entire library. Now, the other interesting name, Greg, that kind of was be floating out there is Tony Khan is open to the idea of merging with Triple H and WWE, which I'm all for, or some sort of way to make that work. I think that would be my ideal situation, but um, I just don't think that happens. I'm hoping we can at least get some, playing with both sides type deal. Throw us a bone here, give us a super show of some sort, and make that happen, and see where that could lead, or get some talent across the board. But it sounds like Comcast is there. Of course, Disney's mentioned there. Greg, people joke. Can you imagine Roman Reigns said, "Hey, this is Roman Reigns on Disney Channel"? But that would be interesting. Dwayne Johnson and his capital, that's got to be a very, very low ball thing because you got The Rock already working on the XFL. I think that'd be way too much to try to buy WWE and get the XFL off on the right foot. And then I don't know where the world, Greg, where Raphael got Jake and Logan Paul. I didn't even know they had that kind of money. But hey, apparently their name is mentioned. So I did think, with this the latest Powerball at 1.35 billion, how awesome it would be, Greg, to own a piece of a sports team. If you ever
Yeah.
could. That's the kind of money that I would love to have. Never will have, but hey, we can all um, hope and pray. But so Comcast is the kind of lead horse. You got to wonder, where is this all going to? Uh, I mean, with all this smoke and fire, Greg, it sounds like this is going to happen this year. I can't imagine it playing out too much longer.
Yeah. What was scary was that earlier this week they had that report come out that it was already sold to the Saudis,
Mhm.
and it was on the front page of Yahoo. It was on a bunch of credible sites that it was already done, and Twitter had broken because everybody was talking about it. It broke the internet that day, and thankfully that's not true. But I posted in our group chat the uh, message I found from Ariel Hawani, who
Yeah.
is the number one mixed martial arts uh, investigative journalist that exists today. That he did some digging because he's a huge WWE fan or wrestling fan in general,
Yeah.
and found out that that wasn't the case, and the original tweet about the sale had been deleted, and so we're all doing a sigh of relief that the Saudis didn't actually buy WWE, and that is a worst case scenario. Absolutely. I don't want any more crown jewel events. I don't like them going over there twice a year. This, and it's the thing when you buy a company, you want to make it the way you want it. If I bought a football team, I'm going to do what I want to do with them as far as their color scheme, where I want to put them, what city, um, everything. I'm in control. I own them. So this is the idea with the Saudis, and they say I want Mansoor to be a world champion. Boom, you're going to get Mansoor as a world champion. And, you know, you get to do and shape everything the way you want it. And that's what we're scared of with the Saudis out there. We know they're knowledgeable about their wrestling. They love their wrestling out there, but, you know, how would that affect the product here? And do we trust them not to change everything? And just that environment, like you said, with the extremism that exists over there, the wrestlers from different nationalities that want no part of the Saudi Arabian, with anything doing with Saudi Arabia, such as Sami Zayn. And it just sounds like a bad idea across the board. And, you know, selling them to the people with the most money isn't always the best idea. So you got to do something that makes the most business sense. And so that's aside from the Paul brothers, which I don't think will ever happen.
Yeah, I
That
didn't even
is
know they had that type of money.
I know. I guess Disney pays well and YouTube pays well, but yeah, I think that's the worst sellers that could possibly happen as far as who they could sell to, and it's probably who Vince likes most because they have the most money, probably could offer the most. But as far as his product existing more generations down the line and being profitable, making more money, um, you know, anybody but Saudis. And, you know, I'll take Comcast because that makes total sense. They already have the WWE Network and USA, the whole affiliation, and they'd be great suitors. Hell, they have to figure out is the old SmackDown on Fox part of it, but um, you know, that's boardroom stuff. And then, you know, I'd love for it to be on Amazon. I'd love for it to be, you know, the HBOs, and, you know, maybe get them back up to a R-rated show so they can, you know, do more things that are fitting of their station. But um, yeah,
Do you
I'm
think it
down with
happens
anybody
this
on this
year?
list.
Do you think the sale
Yes,
happens? Yeah.
yeah, we can't have the
I mean,
specter of Vince hanging around the whole year and nothing happening. So I definitely think the sale will happen, and sooner than later, probably within the
that's what it
next
sounds like.
2 months.
Yeah. Which, well, that was the thing too with the Saudi deal thing. Like, I'm like, this just happens overnight. Like, you know, you can just throw money out there and make everything. You know, I was just like, that just seems really quick. You know, for Vince, unless Vince was talking to them all this time, type deal. But, and I'm not sure who this Endeavor Group Holdings is. But they, you know, they got some good odds. You wonder why Fox. You know, I mean, I guess Fox has a lot of built up, you know, especially on the political side because you got Fox News and all that. So maybe that's why they're not on high as getting, you know,
Mhm.
WWE because yeah, they have SmackDown, but do they really see any reason to have the rest of it? So, um,
Yeah,
and
I do
Amazon,
know that.
go ahead.
Sorry, I said Endeavor is the group that now owns the UFC. Um, they bought out the Fertitta brothers, and for like a $4 billion,
Okay.
and so they are the de facto owners of the UFC.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay.
if they would have the, you know, they have the sports background and the minds, you know, sports minds, you know, behind it, that would make sense if they took over to WWE and um, can do some cross promotional stuff because
But you
you
wonder if
always
they would
see.
put it back on pay per view then too. If they, you know, because they do a lot of stuff on pay per view, so that would be interesting to kind of have to play back to that. But um, yeah, it sounds like Comcast. You know, maybe they're talking their way into it, and we'll see what that does for it. You would think maybe it happens after WrestleMania, just because of so much work with WrestleMania in the, you know, the background. But um, yeah, we shall see. Like we said, though, I think the sooner it happens, the better, because then that gives us less, you know, more confidence that Vince will just truly was there, and he hired back two other people with him. Um, to kind of be that in charge of the sales. Because it sounds like Nick Khan is now CEO on his own because him and Stephanie were co-CEOs. So, and now you got Triple H, chief content creator, and like we said, William Regal. Like he was vice president of something. I know he had vice president in his name. I'm not sure what it was, but so hopefully, everybody can kind of keep status quo even with the sale. I understand you're going to put some of your people in there, but also you have to see that the ship is sailing well. So hopefully you don't mess up too much with it. So, yeah, I think those are the that was the big story. I figured that would take us most of the start of this show, Greg, to talk about. So let's get a quick commercial break, and then we'll finally get into the in-ring action that we've kind of been missed on the past couple weeks, but lots of talk about there. Just with the Judgment Day kind of rolling over in tag team turmoil and a bloody affair on Rampage for Ruby Soho the other night. Lots to talk about with getting reactions. So let's take a quick commercial break, get your breath caught up, and we'll get right into the in-ring action here. Alrighty, so our first half hour ish, 45 minutes ish was all the Kevin Owens show, Greg. I want to get more into that with SmackDown just because of the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match there. So we'll kind of mix those both together. There's been a lot of cross shows for that, but what about Alexa Bliss lately? Now we finally see Uncle Howdy show up, Greg, and kind of make her question if she's really in control because she said she's in control. But Uncle Howdy shows up on Monday Night Raw, Greg. So where in the world is this Alexa Bliss story going for you?
I have no idea. I guess it makes sense that they would link her back up with Bray, but I was expecting a different female presence going along with Bray this time around. It's going to be curious. I'm glad that the whole Lily thing is over, but now she's going back to evil Alexa and getting involved with Bray Wyatt and his new characters, Uncle Howdy, and I'm curious to see where this is going. If she's going to fight against it, but she seems to be, absorbing it and trying to take ownership of it instead of just being controlled by it. So I have no idea what they're up to with this one, but I'll be on the edge of the seat waiting to see what's going to happen because she goes back to being supernatural Alexa. I don't really want that. But if she's a more vicious and violent Alexa, like we saw against that match against Bianca, then sign me up for that because that makes sense and you can work with that. But enough of the smoke and mirrors and the hocus pocus.
I'm thinking it's Alexa and Bianca all the way through Mania. Do you think that's where we're headed?
I think so. There could be some ways to get her some wins through some shenanigans, things like that. Doing working up this dark and evil character and who else is there for Bianca right now? So this is probably the most compelling thing you can do, linking her with Bray Wyatt and this whole change of attitude and make it something big.
And then you have the Bray Wyatt factor on SmackDown, Greg, where he said, "I'm Uncle Howdy." What did you make of that line?
Yeah, I heard that. Like, oh, ooh, okay.
Or I'm Howdy,
Uh,
and then he said, "I'm Eater Worlds" and all this. So, what do we make of that line?
yeah, he's invoking his past um, characters and the cult leader Bray Wyatt, and the crowd popped real big at that. So um, maybe he's settling back into his true form and going back to his previous incarnation, cult leader Bray Wyatt. And it's at the end of that segment that they did the old outro for Bray from the cult leader era instead of the butterfly or the upside down moth. So
And then
it looks
the
that way.
QR code led to Bray and a quick shot of the Fiend, though. So interesting. Like, we have no idea what to expect for that pitch black match. I'm hearing it's probably going to be a cinematic one, which makes sense. But then you
Mhm.
also wonder if they'll end up in the ring and then kind of let that play out there. So, um, really, really intrigued for this, coming up. So, oh, Big Ben is in the. Yeah, Big Ben, we are up this early because of work schedules. So sorry you
Yep.
have to start waking up at 8 a.m. to catch us, but we are glad to see you here. Getting
Welcome,
caught up on
Ben.
all this stuff. Yeah. Oh, he's saying Alexa will be in control of Uncle Howdy. That could be that could be
Wow.
something too. I mean, there's got to be a reason why you're bringing up Uncle Howdy, and I think ultimately, Greg, I think Alexa Bliss gets the women's title at Mania, and then that's her full coming out party back in this, like you said, more aggressive. We already saw that. She jumped on the ref. They had the Uncle Howdy mask, in the crowd there for her. Um, so yeah, I think ultimately, because also the next match is where I'm interested in. Bailey keeps going back to Becky Lynch. So is that their WrestleMania path, Greg? Because I'm not really sure where those two can go unless you throw them two into the main, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, WWE or women's title, Raw women's title picture.
Yeah, but if there's you don't need that many people in the mix. There's too many syndication that way. So with Bianca, you need to pick one person and stick with it. Becky and okay, I can't think. Bailey.
Yeah,
Too many B's there.
because Bailey
Becky
keeps
and
calling
Bailey.
out Becky Lynch, and we've
Right.
already seen them fight once. But I guess we're going that route for WrestleMania. It sounds like.
It looks that way, and they can carry a main event on their own. So, they have the ability to do it, and you have about 6 weeks to, well, a little bit longer than that, but closer to 10 weeks to fire up a
Yeah.
real super hot rivalry, get them really heated up, and give make it a match that we want to see. So, how you going to do that? Well, that's why people are getting paid big bucks to sit in those chairs and write out these shows. So, we trust them to figure it out, make it happen, and give us a fire match with Becky and Bailey, and probably some type of gimmick match, last woman standing or something like that to add some extra, flavor to it. But we have Alexa and Bianca having a main event match for the championship, and then the appetizer for that with Becky and Bailey, and some type of stipulation match
Mhm.
that
Maybe
could
like
stand on its own as a 5-star match. So
or like an opener to either night one or night two.
right,
Let them, because sometimes the opener, that's a key match for WrestleMania. I think that's that really sets the tone. So, how about Bobby Lashley back, getting good cheer? Apparently, Greg, was a face all this time, which I don't know about that, but whatever. it's probably got to end with back with the Hurt Business, right? But I don't know
Yeah.
what we do with almost, or do we just let Lashley and almost maybe kind of just work together from time to time as a tag team? I mean, you would think they would just kill the tag team division though, but you know, I think we've seen too much on-screen pairing with MVP and Lashley to not go back that route, and even using the words, we have unfinished business. I mean, that's just because right now, Greg, I don't know what Bobby Lashley's. Um, we're starting to see WrestleMania paths, but Lashley, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, the Hurt Business makes sense putting them back together, and almost doesn't stand on his own quite yet. He already
Yeah.
needs MVP and another member of the Hurt Business. Imagine the five of them, and then
Could you get a woman? I'm trying to think. Like maybe that could be Naomi.
that
If
would
we
be
don't want
cool.
if we don't want her doing the bloodline, maybe that could be Naomi's way to get back in the business.
That could be a group that rivals the Bloodline. That could be a group that riots or that
Judgment Day,
rivals Judgment Day or the eventual
OC,
Wyatt faction.
yeah,
Because that there's going to be a faction,
yeah.
and so you know, getting a team like that set up and ready to go for those type of matchups down the road would be great. Long form storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and organically putting the pieces in place now, and when we see those face-offs in September, October, this year, then they're going to have that edge of your seat moment. So
If we can't do
start it now.
Lesnar and Gunther, maybe we should do Lashley and Gunther at Mania.
I like
I mean,
that idea.
I hadn't really thought about it, but until now, the rumor is Lesnar and Gunther, but I think Lashley, he's not Lesnar, of course, but he's, what, a step just underneath, or right, pretty close to it. Um, so I'd be curious. I would, especially when we saw Braun and Gunther going at it, Greg. You can give me Lashley and Gunther kind of, slapping chest and Hoss fight at WrestleMania for the IC title. Because, like I said, right now I'm not really sure where Lashley's picture is for WrestleMania, but Rhea Ripley defeated Candice LeRae. I'm kind of going to throw this out there, Greg. I wonder at Royal Rumble if Beth Phoenix shows up. Maybe that's our way to get back her and Rhea Ripley going back at it, because that's another person. Rhea Ripley, like, what's her WrestleMania path right now? Uh,
Mm.
I can't see her in any title picture. I don't see her winning the Royal Rumble because well, no, she didn't win it, but she had the match against Charlotte at one WrestleMania, right, for the NXT title. But I mean, I
Right.
guess she could be she's probably, her and probably Raquel are probably the favorites right now, right? For Royal Rumble winners, I would assume.
You'd think, yeah.
So maybe Rhea Ripley is the odds-on favorite right now. But um, what do we think for Rhea Ripley, and where do you think she might go for WrestleMania? I know it's still early, but what do we see for maybe Royal Rumble wise then?
I can see would it be a 4-on-4? No, probably a 3-on-3 actual match with no, yeah, 4-on-4. Let's put the Judgment Day in with the OC, and this could be the way back in for Beth,
Mhm.
um, and Edge.
Yeah.
I imagine Edge is going to be in the Royal Rumble. Um, so with that thought in mind, then um, seeing that Edge or seeing that AJ is injured, he had a bad ankle
I
injury
mean,
at a
put
house
Edge
show.
in that place if he's not ready.
No, I'm thinking Rey Mysterio.
Oh.
and finally putting Ray across from Dominic at WrestleMania.
Mhm,
So you have Ray, the OC, and Beth
mhm,
um, taking on Judgment Day. So you settled the Rhea and Beth issue.
mhm.
You got Ray and Dominic's issue, and then you have the Judgment Day as a whole with their involvement with the OC. So you can tie up all those loose ends, and maybe AJ, hops down to the ring and tilts the scales uh, near the end of the match. So I think something like that would be fun.
Because I feel like with Ray's promo on Friday night, announcing for the Rumble, you do wonder if there'll be some sort of stare off with Dominic and Ray. Maybe Ray just eliminates himself because he doesn't want to fight him, but he's gonna, somehow get forced to at Mania. But I do think we see that. We got to start that wheel again. Get that settled and out of the way. But yeah, I think your idea, good too. It does push in Mia Yim out of the picture though, Greg. So I wonder if maybe Beth won't come back. Maybe Mia Yim,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
true.
maybe Edge and Beth aren't. Edge might. I think he's filming some TV show or some something. So maybe he's not quite ready. But um, yeah, because my idea for Edge was maybe him and Austin Theory for WrestleMania with the U.S. title. Because right now, if you're not going to give me Cena in theory, which I think is you need to throw money there, but Edge, Edge in theory, Edge would put over Theory. So. Um,
Hmm.
And I don't know, has Edge ever won the U.S. title?
I
Maybe.
have no idea.
I can't remember. I feel like wasn't it? Maybe I know he's won the IC title of quite a few times, so that could be something maybe he said he's never got. But um, and I almost wonder, Greg, if Ray and Dominic go one on one at Mania. But I know Ray has been on many a time saying it'll be my last match I ever fight, but maybe. And if it's Ray's last fight at Mania, I'm fine with that. No offense to
Yeah.
Ray, but yeah. So Solo Sikoa defeated Dolph Ziggler. We did see a little Ali and Ziggler tease of getting together, Greg, but ugh.
Exactly. Yeah. Ain't nobody got time for that.
So, anyways, and then was this the segment of the night? Dominic Mysterio talking about his time in prison. He did not reveal that there were Dementors there, Greg, but he's got the little teardrop, you know. So yeah. Oh, okay. That's why. Okay. Big Ben brought up he's going to Raw next week, so he'll be in Philly for Raw. Okay, now I got you. I did. I
Nice.
forgot Raw is live from Philly next week, so I'm now caught up. But anyways, Dominic, talking about his time in prison, Greg is. And I love the Miz being like, well, weren't you just held for what a couple hours? But um, so yeah, quite the you know, you have Priest and Finn. You could tell Finn is having a lot of fun with this, which is always a good thing for it. So,
Hmm.
and then Mammy was there, but yeah, I'm kind of wondering if maybe we do get Ray and Dominic one on one, like a tease at a Royal Rumble, and then maybe Ray has to snap and just finally lay the kid to the woodshed at WrestleMania, Greg. But uh, yeah, what do we think about the little segment with how Dominic is a new man because of prison?
Oh my god. This is a segment that I didn't know I always wanted. This
Yeah.
this right here was so much gold. Um, doing the whole jail thing um, that led up to it, seeing him come out. Love the new music, by the way. The new music is fire. And then coming out full on cholo with the bandana over his covering up his nose and the bottom of his face and the sunglasses
Mhm.
and the flannel. It just all the way, thugged out and with the strut. he was perfect, and just that image just cracked me up. And talking, you know, I did hard time, and prison changes the man. The whole, it was just so great. And what made it
He's
even
like a
better,
scared straight
Corey, right? And Corey was
selling.
so great. He was all over it, and KP being the straight man, like he was only in for a couple hours, and the Miz too. Look at he's looks at his point. The same thing that he was only in a couple hours. And by the way, that's a $500 flannel from whoever knows. But if anybody knows, that's a $500 flannel. It's the Miz, and just kind of discrediting it right there. And Dominic going, "No, no, I'm a changed man. I'm from the streets now." And it was so great. They need to roll with that and keep doing it.
Yep.
I'm thinking make him like Pride and Powerful, have him carry a mad ball or a slapjack or something in his pocket that becomes his new, kind of finisher. Pulls it out of his flannel and smacks the guy over the head when the ref's not looking. Just really roll with it and just thug him out and let him keep cutting thug promos, and he is going to be so mega over. It's not even going to be funny because we're going to enjoy laughing at him in his perceived new thug character. And it's, shout out to him for really being so good with it and keeping a straight face. I imagine it's probably why he had the bandana on, so you could see him kind of laughing. But yeah, it is so good. So keep doing it, and it's a great way they've been keeping or distancing him from being the son of Ray and just becoming dominant now too. So I got to give him props for that. First starting with the whole Rhea mommy thing, and now doing this is a little stereotypical, but it's okay. It creates some distance between him and Ray, and the more you roll with it, the more detached he's going to be from Rey Mysterio's shadow, which is what we want. So
we also want Ray to just kick his ass though at some point.
Exactly. So. It's great character building, and love what they're doing with Ray on the other side. Having these little incidents happen over the holidays, and not just being something he's talking about and moping about every week. And there's going to be a moment where he has going to have to teach his son a lesson and meet him in the ring. So it's beautiful, long form storytelling that we're not getting nearly enough, and they're doing it perfectly right now. So props to them on both ends.
And the Judgment Day, it was their hour there in the last, I think it was the last 45 minutes-ish, hour-ish of Raw, Greg, was all about the tag teams. The Judgment Day ran the gauntlet, and now they are the number one contenders for the tag team titles. Is this the time to finally start the split of the tag team titles, Greg?
I'd say so, yeah. I'm curious to see how they're going to do it, but it is that time. You need two sets of champions, and I think
the Judgment Day needs some gold. I think finally too.
Yeah, they totally do. They've deserved it. They put in the the work, and they've gotten themselves super over. I don't know if the writers and the people backstage really thought they would get over the way they have, but yeah, they're one of the most fun things to watch on Raw. So props to them for figuring out how to do it and getting themselves over. But it is time to split up those championships. Somebody's going to have to be the first to beat the Usos, and I like it with the Judgment Day doing it. As far as all the candidates who could do it, Judgment Day makes the most sense.
And you can have the Judgment Day do the New Day rule, the Freebird rule, right? Like just have two members. And I mean, heck, if you really want to pull the trigger on Dominic, He's got to be the one to be involved in that pin. I don't know if he gets the pin, Greg, but or maybe gets it by accident or like something like that. I think now's the time to pull it. So I'm very curious if we finally start the split. Especially if my idea of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens back together, getting the other, getting the SmackDown titles. So, um, yeah, but like you said, I think now's the time. I
Yeah,
don't think you wait till I don't think you wait till Mania to drop all the titles. Especially if the rumbling is that maybe Roman might work both nights. I don't know if I necessarily need to see the Usos working both nights too, right? I mean,
yeah. You know, and it's a perfect setup. Have Thug Dominic pull some brass knucks out of his flannel and whack one of the Usos, and boom, there's your title change. I mean, it's all set up for it to work, and
yeah.
the Judgment Day is underhanded enough to do something like that. So
And
it's
good
all
work
set
by
up for the
them to
taking.
distance themselves from the Edge version of it, right? I mean, that's
Exactly.
kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to remember that Edge, you know, was part of, was the start of this. But, um, and who knows? Maybe he wants to be back part of it, just with it being one of the top top attractions on Raw. But let's get into them. And like I said, we'll bring up the Kevin Owens stuff on SmackDown because I think that's interesting to kind of bring those both together. But so some NXT stuff, Greg. We saw Dijak defeat Tony D'Angelo. Is he going to be our next North American champion? It looks like. I think all the chips are on him. It sounds like.
I think so. Wesley is a good performer, and he's talented, but still not feeling him after all this time. So I like what they're doing with Dijak and giving him this like Steven Seagal-ish kind of
Yeah,
role.
hard
But
justice.
right. So let's go with that and see
Maybe not
what we
Vengeance
can do.
Day, but maybe I think they're going to do Stand and Deliver for WrestleMania weekend, and maybe
Mhm.
you do I'm fine with a multi-man match there, right? I mean, ladder match or just fatal four way or fatal five way, whatever you want to do. But
Right.
it looks like Dijak. I think they're high on Dijak. And talk about trying to recreate yourself from your previous character, Greg. He was a T-bar previously, so him and
Yeah.
him and Massey are really really distanced themselves from retribution. So that's good.
Smartly. I don't
Yeah,
like how this match ended. It just if you remember, it had with he's beating up D'Angelo in the corner, and when he goes back to flex with the crowd, um, Stacks, who is
yeah.
chained to or handcuffed to the second rope,
Hmm.
gets in the ring and tells D'Angelo, "I'm going to do it. You're handcuffed to the rope. How are you going to do it?"
Yeah,
And D'Angelo, your family, get out of the way, and then he takes the boot, takes the loss. That whole finishing segment was just stupid, just from the sense that how are you going to fight for your boss and you're handcuffed to the rope?
yeah.
So
That's true.
it's I've sat there and I watched the whole thing cover to cover, and it did not start the night off
Yeah.
the right way. Just from that finish, and the match itself with D'Angelo and Dijak was good,
Hmm.
but that ending made it just killed what they did the 10
Yeah.
minutes, 15 minutes before.
We also saw Gallus back, which I think we've talked about a little bit. I was thinking about SmackDown as well. I wonder if Pete Dunne and Ridge, where have they been? Like, did they have to go back and get some work visas sorted out? But we haven't really seen them on SmackDown. But Gallus is back, Greg. It looks like they'll be challenging New Day. Uh, do you think New Day drops it right away to them?
Um, Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, I mean,
Unless they want to do something with them in the road to WrestleMania,
yeah,
and then it would make sense. Get them involved. You know, with the Usos, or get them involved with the title picture. Um, and hey, nobody shows out on WrestleMania like the New Day does.
yeah, that's true.
So I wouldn't put it past them, and that's the only reason I can see them losing the championships if they have something big planned for them for WrestleMania. Otherwise,
Might as well just
leave
air
them
it
in
out through
NXT.
WrestleMania season.
Yeah, and have banger matches with the NXT tag teams. And Gallus is a good place to start. So maybe there's a rivalry that starts, and you get 2-3 matches between those two.
Yep. We had Braun Breaker defeat Grayson Waller. This saw, what was it, the last rope break, or fall apart a couple times. We saw a count out. Now we're going to get a steel cage match at Vengeance Day. Makes me think back to St. Valentine's Day Massacre with the good old Stone Cold and Vince McMahon steel cage match, and Paul White showed up there, Greg. But so I guess WWE loves their steel cage matches in like Valentine's Day season. So um, I don't know. Where does Grayson Wall, like, he's not going to win it, I don't think. But you got to wonder, like, his time is probably winding down there. It sounds like, right, in NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's going to be a lot better on the main roster than he is even now. Um, love his look, love his swag, and it's going to get over on the main roster. I have no doubt about it. Guy's super athletic, and he's so annoying. He's Miz level annoying. That
And if he can bring that Grayson Waller Effect TV show, you wonder
right,
how that will play on the main roster.
yep, and that's going to get him over with the fans because
Mhm.
you know the worst thing is no reaction. So
Mhm.
he's going to get a reaction when he comes out. People
Yeah.
are going to get adjusted to him pretty quick.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, but bring him up, and this is another example of how NXT is still so bad right now. Just the whole thing with the rope breaking. The first time, okay, I'll give you a pass on it the first time, but the ring crew can't come out and fix the ropes so that it doesn't happen a second time. I mean, I hate that ending to it and that angle of the rope breaking just because it's so dangerous. I mean, you know, you've probably figured out how to follow through the ropes correctly, but all it takes is that one miscorrection, um, that one error, and you break your neck. So, I hate the way that match went just from them using the rope breaking as a way to end the match. So,
And I
I
guess
mean,
we knew we needed to get another match out of it, but I think you
right,
could have thought
there's
of different ways.
yeah, there's an infinite number of ways you can do aside from
The
something
same,
like that that is
same
so
gimmick twice.
yeah, that's very unsafe to do the whole rule breaking thing and have the guys fall out of the ring on their heads or whatever.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I liked the match, but I didn't like the way they did that as far as continuing the rivalry by using that angle.
Mhm. Charlie Dempsey picked up a win. Jinder Mahal is back in NXT, or will be in NXT, Greg. Probably good pairing with him and Indus Shear, so that's fine. But let's get to the end because we had the good old Shawn Michaels British Bulldog type ending. But I'm okay with GG and JC being both contenders because what is that going to mean for them? So, and I mean, you just get Roxanne over even more if she could beat both of them. So,
Yeah.
interesting way to go about it. I still think you got to call them up to the main roster too. So maybe that's a way that they lose this match, go away for a little bit, show up in a women's tag team match, or cause some chaos in one, Greg. But um,
Hmm.
I'm okay with, especially Vengeance Day. It's not like it's a good pay per view for NXT, but it's not like it's WrestleMania weekend. So I'm okay with a filler feud for Roxanne, and
Hmm.
then really see who can be a good contender for her come WrestleMania season at NXT. So, did you like the ending of it?
Yeah, that was fine. And counter to our other point, this is the way to continue a storyline that makes sense.
Mhm.
They both fall off the apron. It's a over the top rope challenge, and they both hit the ground at the same time. reason to, continue this on. And then, the two just deciding to fight each other and see who's, the better woman to finish the match was a great way to do it. And it was the perfect way to finish it. And so I liked it, and it makes sense to now it's a triple threat. So, well, Breaker and Waller took notes because this is a way to continue the storyline right here.
And then let's get into SmackDown. Then we'll get a little break and get into AW stuff, and then wrap up the show after that. But so we had Gunther defeat Braun Strowman. Braun chest was lit up by Gunther, Greg. I mean, this might have been the most physical match Braun's been in a while, right? So you do got to. I mean, I do wonder where we're heading with Gunther in WrestleMania season, but this was hard hitting of both guys. And Braun was getting over, Gunther was getting over, and I mean this is the way you do it. You just have Gunther keep rolling. Still looked quite strong, even before Triple H took over. But Gunther's just rolling, and it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what he does at Royal Rumble. But I think even more exciting to see what he could do for WrestleMania. If they could get the Brock match. Or, like I'd even brought up, maybe Lashley instead. But I think WrestleMania is going to really be a good stage for Gunther to show what he does. So, any thoughts on the first match there?
Yeah, I said for a long time that the one superstar I'd never wanted to see on the main roster was Gunther, when it was formerly known as Walter, because I thought that, Vince would ruin him. And seeing him come up and still be booked strong even during the Vince era was very encouraging. Then when Triple H took over, then I had, supreme confidence in him because he knows how great Gunther is. And they've done a killer job with him as far as building him up, getting him quality wins, and the matches he's been having have just been epics. The Sheamus match was with this match. Everything has been on point. He has been killing it, and he hasn't needed to say much. All his, he lets his hands do his talking, lets his chops do the talking, and we're really getting invested in him. And the people who didn't watch NXT UK, didn't watch NXT when he was doing the Imperium thing down there, now they're getting, their first helpings of Gunther and seeing what a boss this guy is. And so props on them for keep booking him strong and, setting up with a classic match for WrestleMania. Because now we see that every time this guy steps in the ring, we're going to get a banger. So that's the reputation you want. That's the way you make a star. And, down the road when he stares across from Roman Reigns, you're going to have your ooh moment, which is, what we're all looking forward to. So, I'm encouraged by this match. This was a great match with Braun Strowman, and I've seen some Braun Strowman matches that were kind of yawners, but this was not one of them. So, the guy shows he can work with everybody. He can work with the Strowmans. He can work with Ricochet. He can work any style and make it look amazing. So, props to them for letting Gunther show what he can do, and, killer way to start the match or start the show.
Yep. Rey Mysterio and Karrion Kross went back and forth. I'm guessing we're going to get a match probably on SmackDown in the next week or so. What do we think about Karrion Kross's return, Greg?
Giving him an incomplete because
he hasn't
done anything. Yeah, he hasn't done anything but cut promos on people and a couple sneak attacks, but we haven't seen him.
And they teased him going after Roman Reigns, but do you think Triple H is not high on him anymore?
Not that, but he's just.
or trying to
why
find the
would you
right
right
fill.
now
Yeah.
or the right time? Because this Kevin Owens thing is just going to carry on for I don't know, maybe through WrestleMania, and then that leaves Cross out in the cold. So if they're planning on, KO either helping Sammy break off from the bloodline or winning the championship, whatever, the road to WrestleMania is going to be Roman and KO, um, to some point where it ends maybe in February or March, and then that frees up Roman for The Rock, maybe.
What I hate is Rey Mysterio is
But
probably going to get the best of this feud, right?
yeah, that's the shame of it.
And I don't
Unless
know
it,
if that does anything for either guy. I mean, we've seen Ray defeat big guys. Like, is that that's not really? I don't know. Like, I mean, Scarlett looked pretty decent in the ring though. Last 2 weeks ago, I think it was. So at
yeah,
least they're hopefully going to give Scarlett some time in the ring. But there's the luster is gone of Karrion Cross. I think is my biggest thing.
yeah, they need to figure out how to get it back with him. And there's plenty of people he can get back in there. We already have seen what we can do with Drew,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a whole roster full of guys he can get in there and have some good matches and reestablish that character again because he has a great entrance, but he
Or
needs to
what
get
they we don't
his
even know what the
magic back.
character is. I think that's the thing. Right.
True.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's real, you have Scarlett playing, these cards thing or what, like a tarot reader, but what is he like a hitman? Is he a hitman? Is he maybe a bounty hunter could be like, like I don't know. It's hard to tell what he's supposed to be. Tegan Knox picked up a win. I mean, Xia Li, is she kind of just there,
Yeah.
just to
Job out.
job out? Especially like I mean, Tinga just came back, but then we kind of talked to the pitch black match. I think with Bray and LA Knight is the match to kind of keep an eye out for on Royal Rumble. Like I said, I'm guessing it'll probably be mostly cinematic, but you do wonder if they'll end up in the ring. But how about Raquel and Liv Morgan, Greg? So we had Liv Morgan slap the taste out of Raquel, ends up with a match. Like I said, I think Raquel's a step above my favorites right now over Rhea. I just feel like, that makes the most sense. We've seen Rhea kind of in the main event picture a little bit, and now it's time for Raquel to kind of show what she could do. So, still interesting, though, that if you keep Bianca champion, you have Raquel and you have Rhea, Greg. That almost takes us back to that, remember that night where we had all three of them holding their championships.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of your future or more of your now for the women's division. So Raquel and Liv, a good match. Liv is still, I guess they're just touting this extreme version of her. But then if you have Alexa doing the same thing, Greg, is that kind of counterintuitive to each other?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if they know what they want to do with Liv. She's just she's not even edgy. She's just kind of weird at this point and pointless. She goes out and talks all this back and then she loses. So I want to see what you see in her, but I'm not there.
And then finally, like we said, Kevin Owens had a lot of stuff mixed in on Monday night. He had it tonight or had it Friday night. But ultimately, they finally fought. And the bloodline comes in to kind of cause chaos, Greg, where it looked like Sammy was going to win. And they just destroyed Kevin Owens. And I wish I could find the picture, Greg, but there is a shot that someone saved. Kind of they paused it where Kevin Owens has his hand like just a little bit on Sami Zayn's boot. And it's all that little things, like you always say, the little details that make the storyline, Greg. And that's something that we got to keep an eye on because, like we said, and even the Sami Zayn Paul Heyman interaction earlier tonight, remember where, they're like, he's like, I trust you, go out there. But so, we had the week before where Roman tore into Sami Zayn then he's like a dad, and he later apologizes it back for it, and then they're watching with the popcorn. This storyline is, I know people are probably a little done with it, Greg, just because it does dominate both brands right now. But I mean, it has to. It's got everything there that you want. So, just another match in the Fight Forever series for Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. Now, people are rolling with Greg that it has to end up with Sami Zayn turning on the bloodline. But I still think it's got to be the bloodline turning on him. And then Kevin Owens coming to the rescue. And then, them reuniting. I don't know why. I don't think it would be as big if Sami Zayn turns on them unless it's to save Kevin Owens. Maybe that's what people are thinking, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So which direction do you think you're going now with this?
I don't. This match was really interesting just because they weren't having a great match until the Usos jumped in, and seeing Sammy is just so not so underrated now, but just how good he is in all levels. Just seeing the conflict on his face while the Usos are beating Kevin down, and he doesn't want to participate, and you could see those flashes going through his mind that he wants to go down and save him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Usos are doing great. They're, putting the boots to him and telling him, "Hey, this is for you. Come get in on this." And Sammy's just standing there, and he wants to play the role and be one of the ones, but he doesn't like that they're beating him down like this. The 3-on-1 Solo's beating him down, the Usos are beating him down, and serving him up on the planet for Sammy, and Sammy doesn't want to eat. So seeing that conflict on his face and his movements, and he's standing there with his hands in the air like, I had him beat, and I'm gonna be in trouble, blah blah blah. And because now the Usos have interfered, he's really lost the match. And
so how does Roman handle that?
Yeah, and there's so many wheels turning, so many things that are percolating right here. And Sammy's just perfect, the perfect man for this. And I think this was going to be the more powerful angle if he prevents the Usos from killing Kevin Owens at some point by, I'd say if he picks up a chair and starts swinging it at the bloodline, that the roof would blow off the place.
Yeah, that's probably it is. Yeah, now that they've done this much with Kevin Owens.
Right. And then, you have Sammy and Kevin as a team, and Sammy fends off the Usos and the bloodline with a chair and gives Kevin a giant hug. Man, talk about the place coming unglued, and then you have your team to beat the Usos. I think that could be just as big, if not bigger, than the bloodline turning on Sammy.
Because maybe it's so predictable that the Usos and the bloodline would turn on them.
That'd be better for Sammy to turn on them.
Or like we said, how about, at maybe elimination. I'm guessing it probably has to happen in Elimination Chamber, right? Because you want a good month or less leading into Mania. I don't think it's at the Royal Rumble. I mean, you wonder if maybe Sammy tries to help Roman win at Royal Rumble just to keep that alliance, or maybe cost him the match, but doesn't cost him the titles. That could be an interesting, way to go about it. But we've already saw Roman lose last year, technically, which I still forgot that he lost to Seth Rollins by DQ, but didn't win didn't lose the title. So I do think, maybe I am on that page as Sammy somehow being the one to call, turn is the way to go on it. So. But either way, we're going to be watching because in Canada is Elimination Chamber. So it has to blow up.
There you go.
That's Montreal, Canada, where
the two Canadian play it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you have to blow it up there. I don't think you could save it for SmackDown. It's too big. I think it has to happen at, Elimination
Yep.
Chamber.
I agree. I agree.
Uh,
That would be an amazing moment.
Yeah. Or you could do the screw job again, whichever way you want to do it. So maybe Roman can make somebody tap or put the sharpshooter on somebody. So or we could go even better, where The Rock, beat Mankind at Survivor Series, and somehow screw that job. But I don't know if you've noticed, Greg, but everyone is putting The Rock in the Royal Rumble poster because there's a bunch of clouds and there's lightning. So now, people have been doing their own artwork, putting The Rock. Do we think The Rock shows up at Royal Rumble? I don't think so.
I don't. If we're still doing Rock against Roman,
I mean, I guess he did.
then yeah, he
Does
should
he
be
have
in the
to?
Rumble.
Or maybe just show up to confront him after, like his match. But then that would almost have to mean that the main event would be Roman and Kevin Owens instead of a Rumble match, right? I mean, you can't have Roman Reigns, beat Kevin Owens, The Rock show up, and then still do a Rumble match like that. There's no way you could do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of now, the first SmackDown after Elimination Chamber. Maybe you have Roman call out everybody, say I've beaten them all, I'm the head, and then boom, The Rock shows up. But I think The Rock has to be in person too, right? We can't do any of the via satellites. We need The Rock and Roman, face to face.
Face to face.
Even though, now that I'm talking it out loud, Greg, Rock and Roman at Royal Rumble, that's where, Roman won. The Rock was there to raise his hand, and it was the biggest booze ever. So I guess you could play off that somehow. But I still think that it'd have to be the main event over the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, it definitely would have to be.
And do we want and with but then again, with as big as Roman's been right now, I mean, if he main evented, I don't know if I don't know if I would argue against that. I know it's the Rumble matches, but right now, like the men's side of things, I don't know who's the heads-on favorite in Royal Rumble men's side, right? I mean, Seth or Cody, right? I mean, I guess they're kind of 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I figured if I was forced to make a bet right now, I'd have to put it on Cody.
See,
He's getting all the hype, the build up. He's getting the packages, and
and that's why I feel it'd be too predictable. That's almost why I would go Seth, and then still do Seth and Cody at Mania if you could somehow get the titles split. But because I think Seth is due. Yeah, he got the U.S. title, Greg, but then that was gone. so give me a Seth Royal Rumble win. I mean, just add another another notch in his belt of things to do. But we'll have to. It'll be interesting to see our final four picks next or 2 weeks. The Royal Rumble is officially Saturday, January 28th. So we still got an extra week or so between the two. But all right, well, let's do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, here's a thought though, with the Bloodline coming and wreaking havoc on both shows, on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
And you're trying to give Pierce more power, make him look more of an authority figure. What greater way to exhibit that authority than saying you guys need to be punished for coming here and wrecking our shows and beating up officials and doing what you're doing. I'm splitting these championships.
Yeah, we could still play that up, especially if something happens, at Royal Rumble with the titles or something like that.
Right. Then it says, if you want to keep these titles, you're going to have to defend them both, and you're going to fight these guys and these guys, and that could be a way for the tag team championships to be split and the world championship to be split, and you give Pierce more power than because he just looks like a stooge right now when he
Yeah.
comes out. And we just kind of roll our eyes at him. But a move like this, like, okay, this guy is in charge. And that's how you keep portraying him going forward. But if he does something like that and splits the world titles and, books matches for them to defend, then, that changes how we look at him.
Yeah.
And that makes it
Yeah.
possible to do these, have these extra matchups now that the titles are split.
Yeah, and even if he just makes the Usos, because they're the ones usually causing the chaos, I think I'd be fine, with Roman somehow keeping his title. But yeah, I am curious what the WrestleMania plans are for Roman Reigns. Because I don't know if I like the idea of him wrestling both nights.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's too big of, I think, especially if you're giving me the Rock match. Like if you're giving me the Rock and Roman, that just needs to happen. Night 2, main event. Even if even Roman wins, just solidified himself. Give me 1,000-day Roman Reigns run at this rate. It's already 900 something. So, let's just go for Bruno's title reign. All right, well, let's catch our breath on that one. Let's do a quick commercial break and get right into AEW news. We got new trios champions. We have MJF and Bryan Danielson going back and forth. And then like I said, we got a bloody affair on Rampage to kind of talk up for a minute. So let's get a quick commercial break, get into AEW news right here soon. Alrighty, so AEW news, our AEW in-ring action. We had Hangman Page defeat Moxley, Greg, and Moxley kind of played up, I think, a head injury, which is, I think, a good way to write him off for a little bit. So, and good way for Hangman to get momentum back. So, I still think ultimately I'd like to see Hangman back with the Elite. I think that's where we ultimately need to go. But Hangman Page defeats Moxley, Greg, and I didn't know which way we'd go with that, but if we're going to write off Moxley for a little bit, let him get all the time he wants. Go make another baby with Renee for all for all we need, Greg. But Moxley has earned that time off, and maybe come back fresh for Double or Nothing. So, what do you think about the opening match to Dynamite this week?
Yep, loved it. And this is what I was thinking was that he beats Moxley and takes him out and kind of takes Moxley's spot as the resident badass.
Mm-hmm.
And Moxley can finally get his time off and go on vacation that he didn't get in the summer and
In the fall,
that get
no.
right. And that adds to Hangman's street cred, being the man that took out Moxley.
Yeah.
And so they made it look real good as far as, when he hit him with that buckshot, he put some stank on it and Moxley played it perfectly, sold it like he could sell it. And, it did look bad when they showed the replays, but, doing it like they do it. And, it was a great match, great finish. And, looking like they're going to, write Moxley out of the script for a little bit and gives Hangman the advantage of saying, now I took the boogeyman out. Now I'm the boogeyman. So
Yep.
I love that. Give him that edge, give him that swagger back, and, give him that street cred.
How about Adam Cole back? That was good to see. I know Britt Baker put a nice post about it saying, The only time he had ever did anything was to go outside to walk, or maybe go to the store. Like he was really hurting Greg, or like they really weren't sure what was going on with him. So good to see him back. I still would have loved for him to be the one to beat Jericho. I think that would have been, kind of returning back as ROH and all that. But um, it'll be nice to see Adam Cole back and to see what he can do and see who he go, kind of see his legs back underneath him. But good to see him back and healthy. He's been doing little things with the party on Twitch. If you want to, Greg, you could get on Spotify and there's a song called "Can't Stop the Party," and it is Xavier Woods singing, Tyler Breeze singing, Cesaro singing, and Adam Cole singing a
Wow.
song about playing Uno. So there you go. Shout out to Spotify and Can't Stop the Party for them. So hopefully they'll be able to get back on the Uno page for Up, Up, Down, Down soon, and we can have that funness going. But Adam Cole back, and glad to see him back, Greg.
Absolutely. And what's funny is when I was watching the open for this show, I thought about Adam Cole and how much I've missed Adam Cole, and figuring he's going to be back sometime this year, and me not adding him to my our end of the year predictions that Adam Cole will be champion by the end of the year, 2023, and boom, we get to the segment with Tony Schiavone, and here he comes. And great line by Tony Schiavone. It's like, I take no pleasure in introducing our next guest. And then Adam Cole's music plays. I'm like, that is so great. And it's great to see him back. I love Adam Cole. And, seeing that he's good now, he can go again. There's a laundry list of opponents that he didn't get to face last year. That we're going to get some
almost
epics
like a fresh start for him.
Yeah.
Or it is a fresh start because you got no undisputed guys with him. So now, I guess people have brought up maybe he gets back with the Kingdom though. So maybe him and Mike Bennett get back together, and Matt Taven and Maria. And I think, that could be something to kind of rival the Elite if you want to go that route, for the Trios Championship. So there's definitely options out there for Adam Cole to do. Jungle Hook. I'm not sold on it.
Yeah.
Jungle
well,
Boy got out of the tag team, Greg. And now
I know, but they did say before it was a one night only thing. So
yeah, they have a T-shirt too.
Well,
which is the easiest T-shirt I've ever seen, where it literally has like Jungle Hook in white font on a black T-shirt. Like, I know people crap on WWE's T-shirt at times, but like, come on, that's the laziest T-shirt I ever like. I could have made that on Canva and sent it to Jungle Boy and Hook to wear. You know what I'm like? So yeah, if it's one time, that's fine. I mean, I can understand this is a way to get Hook on Dynamite and in a bigger program.
Yeah, but he can do better than the Firm, and the face off with Big Bill was fun. Yeah. But we don't need any more of that, and we don't need Jungle Boy and Hook teaming up. So, but to their credit, last week they said this was a one-time event with Jungle Hook teaming together. So hopefully they stick to that, and they go back on their separate paths.
Put the T-shirt on sale for $3.99.
There you go.
It's the laziest. I mean, I've seen some lazy shirts, Greg, but come on, like, they're like, yeah, you probably paid people to make up that shirt, which is horrible. But anyway, so we had Takeshita and MJF going back and forth. Then we had Bryan Danielson beat Takeshita, which, man, that was, Danielson just continues to. The matches he throws together, Greg, is just so ridiculous. Yeah. And the fact that Takeshita is only 27 or 26. I mean, he's if he could just I guess you get him a good mic guy or mic girl or mic mic skills. I mean, this guy could really be something for your company as well. So, are we still? Did we talk about the Iron Man match for MJF and Bryan Danielson. I think we talked about that a little bit, right?
Yeah, we did a little bit. Yeah.
So, were you on board with it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it could be a fun match, and who wins? Well, we'll say that for later. But
Yeah.
it's MJF doing his ladder of stipulations and opponents until you get to fight me, and so this could probably be like the new tradition with MJF.
Yeah.
Because he's still going to be the number one heel as long as he's in the company, and we're gonna pay our money to see him get his face punched. So milk it, and in the meantime, we're still getting banger matches because Danielson's fighting everybody in the top 5.
He's
So
got Bandito next week, which should be. I don't know if they've ever. I wonder if they've ever gone at each other. Maybe I don't know if early ROH days. I don't know if Bandito's that old, but that should be something to watch as well. Just with the different styles of wrestling there.
yeah, Bandito's awesome. I loved him. He was probably my favorite debut of last year.
We got Mercedes Mon. Oh no, we didn't get Mercedes Monet. Sorry. I still don't think, Greg, they ever had her fully in on this match. Now, the fact that Britt Baker dropped the boss sign last week got everybody, like, why wouldn't she be there? But then again, why do a mystery opponent if it just ends up being Toni Storm? So either they tried and threw everything they had at her, and maybe she just couldn't make it work, timing and scheduling. But then again, you probably shouldn't have had Britt. You probably knew by last week, right? I mean, if you're literally waiting till Tuesday evening or whatever, but no matter what, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter win. But yeah, these mystery opponent. If you're going to do a mystery opponent, you probably need to deliver someone other than Toni Storm. I don't, even if it's, I don't know who. Even if it wasn't Mercedes, Greg, like somebody else who hasn't shown up in the company yet. I was trying to I couldn't even think of names right now, but it is what it is. I mean, I never thought Mercedes was fully on board yet. Like we said, I thought she was, I think she's kind of waiting for this stuff in Japan, maybe do a few months there and, maybe show up in AEW, maybe Forbidden Door. Maybe if they do that a second time, because that would give you New Japan versus AEW. And boom, there's your way to introduce her on AEW. So, what do you think about the match there with Baker and Hayter versus Saraya and Storm, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fine match. I mean, get Saraya some more ring time. Still high profile match. She's still going to be one of your faces of the franchise on the women's side, and she's only going to get better the more reps she gets. So I don't care how much bumps she's doing. Practicing, you need to be out there in front of the live audience and getting that support going. So loved the match. Thought it was a good match, but the right team won. Baker and Jamie, they have all the momentum going, and the crowd loves seeing Jamie Hayter win. So we keep going with that, and hopefully that this will evolve into bigger rivalries and storylines down the road. I still think we're going to see Mercedes at some point this year.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I just don't know if it'll be as long run as people think.
Yeah.
The Jazz showed up. They talked. Jake Hager said, "I'm going to slap the face off of your face," or whatever he said. I mean, I'm so up and down on them, Greg. I just can't. I can't even, as the kids would say. And Ricky Starks, even he is up and down sometimes. And then action, I mean, they had you kind of had the worst talkers, right? Leading this whatever it was segment. Yeah. The less said, it's leading to Jake Hager and Ricky Starks, which Ricky Starks will win. And then we'll see where Ricky goes after that.
Yeah, the JS segments are hit and miss. Sometimes they're super entertaining, and sometimes they're very cringy. Uh, I think all of us froze for a second at the "I'm gonna slap your face off your face" line, because I think he even popped the Ricky Starks because got that look out of him, and the whole announce team's like, "What? What did he say?" And I think that's what we were all thinking. It's like, did he just say, "I'm gonna slap your face off your face"?
It's like when you say, "I'm going to
And
kick your ass by kicking your ass," or like I remember
right,
Triple H had some horrible fluff, something like that, and people were just like, I think it was him and Punk, and people did not let Triple H live that down. So
right, and I'm loving Hager and the hat. I
yeah.
love this hat
Well, if you
and
watch,
wrestling in the hat, and
yeah, if you watch
it's
today's episode with RJ City, Greg of Hey EW, you'll see Jake Hager in all his glory talk to RJ City. So there you go on YouTube. But and the hat says, "I like this hat," so we can't forget that. So I
I,
found the second most dumb piece of merchandise, Greg, next to Jungle Hook. Somebody literally thought, "Hey, let's just write the line on there on a bucket hat." So, um, the hat is more over than Jake Hager. That's
right. It's like Cameron Grimes and his hat. The
yeah.
hat was more over.
There's
So
a guy we haven't seen.
I
He's
think we'll see him in another couple months.
yeah. I kind of wonder.
But yeah, I'm loving Hager and the hat gimmick. So we keep doing that. But if you can keep coming up with lines like "I'm going to slap your face off your face" with Hager and keep rolling with
Why
that,
not?
then maybe you have something. But I don't know how much gold they can spend with that.
I mean, I guess Starks needs to beat Jericho, right? Or has he? Or did he already beat? I'm trying to think of who
I'm
he's beat.
thinking,
Who's he beats? Has he beat anybody in the Jericho Society yet?
I don't believe so. I think Jericho's
Okay.
beaten Starks.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So,
So this could be his way of getting his comeuppance by going through the JAS. So we'll see. I'm of everybody in the JAS. I want to see him and Daniel Garcia for sure.
yeah.
So
That's where. Yeah. That's probably where it should go. And then finally, the Elite defeated Death Triangle. Um, did some of us think that maybe CM Punk would come out, Craig? I don't know if some people thought that, but um, Omega gets the titles in a Dia de Muerto, whatever they call Escalada de Muerto. Sorry. So you had some ladders out there, and now we can move on from both guys or from both teams. The Elite get top flight next week, and they're like, I think somebody said their first tag team match, like legit 2-on-2 match in like 6-7 months, Greg. So that's kind of crazy to think. It's been that long since we've seen, Matt and Dick in just tag team action. So, um, thoughts on the match there? And sorry for your dead triangle, but I mean, we kind of saw that coming.
yeah, we did. I'm grateful that we got a series of 7 just off the chart bangers
Mhm.
all the way through. You figure with 7 matches that a couple of them would be kind of duds, but
Yeah.
none of them. I don't think there's not one that I would say, okay, you could throw this match out. All of them were great storytelling, great physicality, and they were brutal and they were beautiful.
Mhm.
Loved every single one of them. This was a great match. Also, the spots were amazing, and the storytelling was perfect. You have 6 of the greatest competitors in the game right now, and going at it in 6-man action was you know, chef's kiss. Can't hate on it, even though I
Yeah.
wanted Death Triangle to win. And for a minute, I thought it would be very AEW to have Death Triangle win at the end.
Especially if you
Um,
did like some weird, like if you used the hammer, because that
right.
can't come into play.
Well, which he did on Kenny at the end of the or near the end of the match,
Mhm.
smashing his hand as he was trying to climb the ladder,
That's
I
true.
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they did go there, but it didn't get them the win. So, uh, but I love how it all played out. I think that match alone makes this this LA show, pretty much the show of 2021 right now, or 2023. I don't even know what year it is anymore. But
The Jordan year.
there
That's
you go.
why I keep calling it the Jordan year.
We'll keep it. Or I decided, this year I'm going to, do better. Watching these shows and
Keeping
literally
notes.
taking notes on all the shows.
Well, then I will count on you because sometimes I don't.
We will see how long this goes for. But right now, I have a handy dandy
Oh, look at
notebook
that! You got the
full of
handy dandy
notes
notebook. He is Steve from Blues Clues.
with the name, the date, and a little rundown of what happened, the most interesting things that happened on those matches. And so far, we're not off to a great start with January. I have to say that because I'm even watching NXT, and they're, uh, for being shows that start off the year, they've just been
The New
so. We
Year's
haven't
Eve
had that.
wasn't as popping.
No, I was hoping it would be, but like I said, for those bad booking decisions, I can't give it any higher than like a 2.5 star. Um, but hopefully this just gets the ball rolling and we get better as the year goes on. But so far, I have that match being the best match of the year, even though we're only 2.5 weeks in. So, but that's what I'm resolving right now, to take notes on all the shows, and when we go back and do our end of the year, it'll be easy to pull up those candidates, see who was doing what and when,
I mean, because we
and
got
so
that,
on.
and like I always tell people, Greg, I'm like, be a wrestling fan. You got to have watch wrestling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Friday, and and still remember all these matches, upon matches. So doing best of year is always tough because all the different
Yeah,
matches.
that's right, man. I'm not getting any younger, so I'm pushing 50. I don't look it, but I am.
Yeah.
So it's
And
it's
then like
it.
we said, we don't even cover Impact Wrestling. So just imagine if we would add that in. Uh,
Oh, geez, yeah.
Congrats to Mickey James. She's their new champion. Maybe another Royal Rumble run for her, Greg. Mickey
Hey,
James
why not bring her in? Let her bring the championship. Get her some
again.
shine for Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was a
she's
career versus title match. So I'm kind of surprised she didn't lose, but whatever.
there
I
we
would
go.
think her career's winding down, but
And
her
imagine if
husband, Nick
GCW
Aldis,
blows up.
sounds like the big free agent out there, though, Greg. That's the big name that, we've said, who is the big name? So I'll be curious to see where he kind of ends up because he's just
Okay.
kind of sitting on the sidelines.
I
He was
understand Jay White's is not renewing either.
yeah.
He's going to be a free
Jay
agent.
White's his free agent soon. So there could be some big because Nick Aldis was the NWA champion, and he was he was pretty solid. So we'll see where he ends up. Finally, let's get to some Rampage stuff. So Darby Allin wins against Juice Robinson. That makes a lot of sense to have Juice Robinson there, Greg, because he's married to Tony Storm. So probably going to be a little. I would assume we see Juice Robinson is all elite. Assume that's where I was getting to. But I forgot they've announced here it's going to be Darby Allin and Kushida for the TNT Championship on Wednesday night.
Really?
So that's pretty cool to see Kushida getting a chance. Yeah. Just here on the Twitter, an open challenge been issued. Kushida's answered the call this Wednesday at Dynamite live from Fresno. TNT champ Darby Allin defends against title against former Ring of Honor World TV champ Kushida. So we'll see if Kushida ends up being all elite or if he's just going to kind of do wherever he wants to go, Greg. But him and Darby, that'll be, you might have to don't blink, as they say, because that thing will probably go back and forth a lot. So, Kings of the Black Throne picked up a win. So your boys and getting a good win. Where are we going with Eddie and everybody though? Eddie Kingston. I guess we're just trying to get back maybe to crazy Eddie Kingston and just doesn't give an F about anything. I guess that's where we're going with it.
I guess so. I'm curious to see what's happening with him too. Eddie being Eddie is pretty much the only way you can describe it. And then House of Black pulling the shenanigans, and um, pitting them two against each other, and they've been doing a good job of it. They've been doing it for a couple of weeks by beating up Eddie's partners, but not beating him up, and so on. And I don't know, you get figure Eddie being in the House of Black, so what are they going for here?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I like the way this match ended with the little sleight of hand with Buddy come out and distract the referee, and Julia slipping around the back and making it look like he was going to hit her with a chair, and just the way they pulled it off, it was so smooth, and great finish to the match. And maybe we end up getting a grudge match between Ortiz and Eddie, and split up a group, or maybe this brings Santana back into the mix and they reform. So we don't know what the issue is with why we haven't seen Santana. We've heard it's been like real life beef between Santana and Ortiz, but we don't know for sure. So maybe there's something at work with that. But
well, I mean, even Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon Dudley had a small falling out, Greg. So, I guess being tag team partners and, road partners. And I mean, like they said, like you've said many times, seeing these people more than your real life family, you're bound to maybe eventually run into some rough nights with each other. But, and then Bloody Ruby Soho and Will and Nightingale pick up a good win. They throw Anna and Tay into these bloody matches, don't they?
They do. I'm guessing they like it because, you have, Tay, putting Ruby in a trash can and stomping it, and then Anna wrapping her arm in barbed wire, and it's not the first time she's done that. So they're very sadistic women, and it makes a great looking match. They told a great story with it, and just brutal, barbaric, and did better than the men do. So props to them, and
I think
I'd
Ruby's
love
done
to see
some of
more of
those
that.
death matches before too. So maybe she just wanted to get back to her roots, as they say. So, yeah. How about one more commercial break and we'll get in a last call and wrap up the show.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
All righty, our last call for the day. Greg, we kind of brought this up in our Superkickin with Steven Facebook group page. Do you have a Royal Rumble winner, men and women, that should have been changed? Like, I go back to 2012 when Sheamus won over Chris Jericho, and I still think Jericho should have won that because Jericho was so over. You've never gotten a Money in the Bank match win. You never gave him Royal Rumble win, Greg. But I always thought that one was one. And then I'm sure people will go back to probably putting Bryan Danielson in the 2015 or 2016, wherever the one that Roman won with The Rock showing up in Philly. Those are probably the two biggest ones. Is there any Royal Rumble winners that you think, did they really need that win type deal?
Without seeing a list, they can't.
Maybe Triple H, when didn't he defend it he defended the title, I think? Or no, that was Roman defending the title, and Triple H won the title. That one probably could have been back to the drawing board, right?
Yeah, could have been for sure.
Because we got Roman and Triple H in the WrestleMania event at 12:35 a.m. in Dallas, Texas, that I think nobody was awake for. But Well, it's something to think about.
I'm
And
going to
if you
say
want,
Kane, but I'm not sure
yeah, I
if
don't
it
think Kane
was.
ever won one.
I thought I saw him on the winners list, or
Oh,
maybe
did
that
he?
was.
He had the most eliminations until Braun took it over, I believe. Right? I think that was because Kane was always the number one top 10. Oh, what is this list?
Yeah, I think Kane has most eliminations, right?
Overall, yes. Sorry, like because he's had. Let's see, it brings up here. He's had 42 eliminations, and of course, he had the most in that one that he had 11 in 2001. But I thought Roman might have beat that record one year. So then you got Shawn Michaels. Stone Cold's up there with 36. I did not think Stone Cold had that many, you know, eliminations. But well, we can always bring that up in the Facebook group. We can always give a who do you think should have won that didn't win type deal. So, any
Sure.
thoughts on playoffs headed today, Greg? Or are we pulling for the Bills and the? Did we say on the other stuff?
Yeah, I think now that my bolts have been
Bolted.
dispatched, yeah, for sure. And Staley needs to be quick to quick behind them and on the slow boat to China.
Yeah.
I'm putting in my lot with Buffalo, and AFC guy. Always been an AFC guy, and I think this is the Bills' year, so I'll put in my lot with them and see what happens there. But it should be, I don't know, a great match. Miami's down to their third string quarterback, so it might be a brutalization.
Yeah, it was a guy
Um,
from Kansas State. I can't remember the guy's name, but
yeah, nobody
um,
can.
it was
Um,
funny because I was listening to ESPN radio. They were talking about it in the afternoon, and then as I was leaving, there was another show, Greg. They had the same exact reporter talking about the same exact thing, and I'm like, okay, like man, I didn't realize this Miami story was that big. But and now I did just see it come out that Tua will be their starter next year. But we know that if he's healthy
yeah, but
enough.
don't be surprised if they draft another quarterback or pay a big name free agent because he's shown that
That's all I'm going. Yeah, I
he
mean,
is not the most
it's one thing
durable
to say,
quarterback.
yeah, it's like a coach. I still will always go back to Greg when Roy Williams, Kansas had just lost the title game, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm never leaving Kansas." Next day, he signs with our next week or next day or whatever, signs with North Carolina. I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, I
And
know What about the Jim Harbaugh stuff? Where do we think he's going?
I
He's
wouldn't
not.
mind seeing him.
I can't see him going back to Michigan.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing him sign up with the Chargers either. So,
To help
uh,
Herbert.
absolutely, I need to see him. Uh, he needs a better OC than what he's got because
Yeah.
the guy has too live an arm. He is too good. He's a generational talent, and he is getting wasted right now by um, this staff. So we need get a defensive headed of minded coach that
Yeah.
can bring in a rock star offensive coordinator, somebody who will have him throwing the ball down the field, um, draft some speed receivers, and really show off what this kid can do because he's getting 4,700 yards on a season, throwing to the guys on the practice squad. So with a real legit lineup, some speedsters, he would be unstoppable. So bring Harbaugh in, got that experience, got the pedigree. He's going to be old school, conventional head coach, and not going for fourth downs every 5 times a game. It's fun in the beginning, but it's not funny anymore because now we're blowing 27-point leads in the playoffs, and that is not okay.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, I guess technically he's back at Michigan, but I don't know. There's still too many. It's like he keeps us putting out those little little feelers, Greg, to see if anybody's biting. And
Yeah, but the Chargers can pretty much have anybody they want because any coach is going to look over at Justin Herbert, and go say, "Yeah, I'll play with that. I'll let that guy
he
be
got
my
a great
quarterback."
defense, right? Joey Bosa.
Absolutely,
Except did he get a penalty last night? I think cost
he
them
did. He did get a big penalty that led to them getting
or
that
led
2-point
to it. Sorry.
conversion,
Yeah,
but that was because the Jaguars left tackle
there's a
right
more.
tackle, he was offside or he
Yeah,
jumped before the snap and the ref didn't call it.
that's right.
So he was hot about that. Bosa got called for the penalty, but the other guy jumped,
Mhm.
and he knew that the guy jumped, but they didn't call it, and then they converted the 2-point conversion. So that was a difference in the game right there.
Yeah. And then my Colts, I think they've interviewed a bunch of nobodies. It said Raheem Morris was mentioned. Who else? Uh, I can't. I go back, Greg. I think, and whether it's good or not, Jim Irsay probably wants Jeff Saturday because he's too big of a Colts. He's a loyalist. And maybe he thinks that we'll get Peyton Manning here, in the front office. But yeah, it's a
Yeah, but he
mess.
went 1-7 as a starter or as
I
a
know.
head
I know.
coach.
Yep.
So
With no experience, not even like I think he might have coached high school, but anyways, good times.
yeah, it's going to be interesting
Go
off season
Pacers.
for sure.
They ain't lost last night to the Grizzlies though. So still sitting
And
in
that's
the.
it. Why is AEW using the NBA playoff music? That's the
I
part
wonder
that
if it's because of
confuses me.
TNT and TBS aspect.
Yeah, it still doesn't sound right.
And if you
when
watch
see it.
Being in the Elite, like you had Daniel Garcia and one of the guys from Private Party, I can't remember which one. They would do a breakdown NBA style and talk about the match using NBA logic. So it's something that the Elite wanted, and let's face it, they get what they want, Greg. When you're EVPs, you can. I mean, they're still coming out to Carry On My Wayward Son, so that tells us everything right there. But yeah, yeah, I do. I mean, I love me some round ball rock, but I don't think I need it all the time. So,
Yeah,
or if it was playoff season, then you have some crossover. But just to do it in the middle of January, yes, we're in the middle of the NBA season. That's what's hard to believe too. Like the Pacers just hit game 43, I think it is. So, how are your Suns looking? They're kind of in the middle of the pack as well, right?
yeah, we on a pretty pronounced
Slide.
losing streak
Yeah.
lately, with something like lost probably like 8 of the last 10 games or something like that. But everybody's getting hurt. Booker's hurt.
Booker's
Paul's
out,
hurt.
right?
Half the roster is hurt right now.
Yeah.
So after the All-Star break, you expect that those guys will be back.
Yeah.
Booker should be close to being back on the court, and then they'll make that run for the top seeds. But they're a middle of the road team right now too, because they're missing half their roster.
And my Pacers have the scare with Tyrese Halliburton, mild elbow sprain and some sort of bruising or down in the knee area, which is never good. And we're going to reevaluate him in 2 weeks, so that never makes me feel. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to see the swelling going down or something like that, and then Miles Turner's been dealing with back spasms, which for any basketball player, Greg, back spasms is the last thing you want to hear. Just ask Larry Bird. I still remember the shots of him laying on the ground with a hot towel, during the game, and just before he had to go in. So hopefully my Pacers can keep the ship steady until we see what the official word is. And even then, Greg, we were kind of playing with house money if you think about it. we were projected to win 25 games. We weren't projected to hit it. Some people still want us to hit a high draft pick because then you just get another young talent in there. So, but then again, with Miles Turner, if he's going to be hurt, that trade value goes away. And then what do you do this offseason? Do you lose him for nothing? He's fit in well with Halliburton. So I'm on the team re-signing, honestly. So I think if it's working, I think the timelines got bumped a little bit, but, why not go with it? So, but should be an interesting, second half of the season, just to kind of see. It looks like the Grizzlies are the real deal. They beat my Pacers last night, and John Morant got every highlight reel with his dunk down the middle. It was pretty nice. So, who else is up there? Nuggets, they're up there, right?
Yep, Nuggets are
And then
hot.
you got the Celtics and the Cavs, which I guess that Donovan Mitchell signing, Greg, really, I guess that's what the Cavs needed because they've been rolling.
Yep, I think Milwaukee's still at the top of the best team in the league right now. So
yep. So yeah, should be a fun playoffs when that rolls around. But like you said, I don't know AEW needs to use some NBA on NBC music as much as they do, but they must love it there. So. All right, well, we'll talk to you guys next week at 11, and then we'll get into Royal Rumble the week after. We'll figure out the time for that. Like I said, I'm interested to see who our picks are and who our final four because it's kind of wide open. It's down to a few people. So Royal Rumble is always one of my favorite events of the year. Would love to get to Royal Rumble, but that's going to be at the Alamo Dome that just hosted the big Warriors and Spurs, Greg, game where they had 69,000 people in attendance, or 66,000. So now the largest attendance record, and it was popping. They showed some of those scenes where the lights were out and everybody had their phones out for pregame stuff, and man, that just looks so cool. So good for them. All right, well, we will talk to you guys next week at 11. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy some wrestling this week.
Peace.